societies, these are the women that don't already get this kind of media attention or even any say whatsoever within those societies. When these are the women who are already oppressed to the max within these societies, when every single day of their lives they are denied the exact same opportunity as their male counterpart because by fear of being born as a woman, in these instances, regardless of whatever personality traits you have, we would still champion you and support you as a woman. Two questions I'm going to answer in this debate. The first, what is the justification to why these women must be championed even though they were corrupted? And secondly, why we have to stand in solidarity with women regardless of their personality traits? But first, let's take a look and answer a few questions first. The first, what is a patriarchal society? When we see that women are systematically disadvantaged in that circumstance by fear of being a woman, when they don't get the same wages as a man counterpart, even for the same position in a corporation, assuming they can even get that position there. But secondly, when they are denied the same opportunities and the same access to a lot of things such as education and even healthcare to a large extent, these are the women who are systematically disadvantaged from the beginning to begin. But secondly, why is it that we cannot only focus on corruption in this debate? We have to understand that within these patriarchal societies, without us publicizing that woman, without us saying that that woman was a successful person who rose up to the top, regardless of her circumstance and regardless of the lottery of birth because she was born a woman, we would say that the media we would find it allowing the media to politicize and focus on the idea of why they were successful. We're fine with that by making the story of them being corrupted very small. We're fine with that. So long and so forth, we stand in solidarity with this woman and we champion her for her success in that patriarchal society to begin with. On to the first question I'll answer in this debate. What is the justification to why these women must be championed even though they were corrupted? But we have to understand one thing. Why are these women being corrupted to begin with? We are engaged in a spectrum of women, corrupted women within these patriarchal societies. The first, we would say that these are the people who, these women were deemed corrupted by the people within that society itself. Who are these people to begin with? These are people who are the dominant male who have been having the privilege of being a male from the get-go. So these are people within the patriarchal society who already have a negative connotation on women because they are women to begin with. And the social constructs that exist within that society itself, that a woman is one that is corrupted because she is a woman or whatever she is. Whatever she does to begin with. But secondly, we would say that assuming that that woman was really corrupted to begin with, we would say that that woman was pushed to the circumstance and the breaking point in which she had to be corrupted. That within that moment when she knew that she couldn't do anything else, she couldn't even survive within that society if she wasn't corrupted. We would say it's a last resort for that woman was oppressed. We would say that they couldn't get the same position as a male counterpart and they had no choice but to opt into corruption. But thirdly, we would say the third type of women that we see on a small scale are those who are genuinely corrupted because they are corrupted, right? But we would say that we still have to fight for these women because they are still women and they are still victims within that society itself that deems them unworthy, that deems them as any lesser of a person because she is not a man. We would say that you being a woman and you being a victim within that circumstance was never one that's defined by your personality traits or who you are as a person. We would give these women more assurance that regardless of your circumstance and regardless of who you are or what kind of personality you have, we would still back you up because we recognize you as a victim within these patriarchal societies. To begin with, on to the second question I'll answer in this debate. Why is it necessary for us to stand in solidarity with women regardless of their personality traits? On the first level, we will tell you that it already happens within status quo when the LGBT movement as a whole still supports Caitlyn Jenner, even though she has been revealed that she wasn't exactly pro-homosexual, and even though she's been called out multiple times by Ellen DeGeneres on Q&A sessions in public. We would say, but first, on the second level, we have to understand what is the degree of oppression that these women face on a daily basis within their patriarchal societies to begin with. When number one, society deems them not good enough because they are women, because they were born as men to begin with. Secondly, when women themselves think that they are the ones that are unworthy of taking up positions within corporations because of who they are. But thirdly, when institutionalized discrimination happens, when these women are silenced within their corporations for being women, when they are systematically disadvantaged in circumstances, and when they don't get any credit whatsoever for whatever they do or their contributions within that society. We would say that these are the women who have to go through daily trauma because of who they were born as to begin with. We think it's in life, we have to change to begin with, but it's in order for these women to feel different within that pressuring society they live in. But onto the second level of these questions, what happens when we champion these women to begin with? We think that the first thing that will happen is internal empowerment. When we tell that woman that we would support you and we would champion you as a woman, regardless of who you are and how you act as a person, because you are a woman, because you recognize the suffering that you have been forced to go through since the day of your birth. We recognize that you as a person was one that was pushed to the limit, that you had to become corrupted. We empower that woman. We give that woman the assurance that we will support her and we recognize her suffering to begin with. But secondly, women around within that patriarchal society who are not successful yet, these are the women that we will push to be successful within these kind of circumstances, because we recognize that these are the women who are systematically disadvantaged, but we will also push for them to be better when we recognize the ideal that the way in which the feminist movement works, when we don't define you as we don't characterize you as a woman because of whatever you can do, because of your personality traits. We will support you because you are a woman, because you are one that was victimized from the beginning. So the comparative is this. And then outside the house, when we give you that reassurance and the empowerment that is mutually exclusive to outside, when we give women around that successful woman in and of itself the chance to become empowered, we change the way the social constructs exist in patriarchal societies. Both sides of them.
Yes, Over this case of science opposition as for leader of
You can take my phone if you want.
Prime Minister has come up here and spoke for half of her speech, telling you that the women are being discriminated against. Yes, we recognize that. What we on side opposition say is that what you are doing depowers women. What it does is it brings women back, and it is detrimental to the feminist movement. Before I move in, let me talk to you about two of the main aims of the feminist movement. Right? First aim is to prove to men that women can be just as successful as men with their own ability, that they are not weaker than men. Second, women can be trusted with positions of power, that women aren't weaker because of their emotional attachments or whatever men deem it to be.
Yes, sure.
Alright, before I move on, let me get into the substantives that were brought up by Prime Minister. First, she wanted to talk about why it's justified that we stand with these women. We are telling you that it's not justified because of this. Because it degrades the feminist movement to a point where it has a tangible outcome, which I will speak to you about in my own substantives later on. And second, she said, yeah, it's great that we endorse them, but we will not endorse them. Yeah, it's great that you have those justifications, but we do not want to endorse them because it will harm the feminist movement, and that is the bigger picture than your big picture, right? The second thing is that why it is necessary to stand with these people, right? They think that empowerment and such will happen, but the thing is, yes, we do want women to be successful, but we do not want women to be successful if it means that they will be morally, if they are morally corrupt and they go outside of the law to gain their success, right? Okay, moving on to what I am going to tell you today. No, thank you. I'm going to tell you three things. First, that supporting this, endorsing these women, first creates a counter narrative, allows men to create a harmful counter narrative. Second, how this counter narrative will worsen the perception of women. And third, why is this perception of women from society so harmful, right? First, how does the counter narrative happen? When you endorse a woman, okay, let's take a look at the media, right? In this society that we live in, patriarchal society, the levers of power are all solely accessible to men and men alone. And therefore, men are the ones who control what is here in the media, and by the feminist movement endorsing publicly these women, you are allowing these men with their own patriarchal standards to be able to say, I told you so. They are able to make this a big deal. Because they are, okay, think about how current feminist icons are being treated. How Emma Watson and Malala, men are criticizing them for being, you're being too feminist, you're being too aggressive, even though these are just common sense things that they're trying to propagate, right? Even in current times, it is so serious. Think about if these women were corrupt. Think about how much more substantial those counter-narratives will be, how much more evidence they would have that women are not to be trusted, right? So, they have two ways of making this counter-narrative. First, that they are saying that women need to be corrupted to be successful, and second, successful women will be corrupt, right? This clearly goes against the two aims of feminism that I outlined previously. No, thank you. Second, how it will worsen the perception, right? Think about, okay, currently in society, most people will not actively hate on women. They will not actively seek out. They will not actively seek out a way to demonize women. However, if it is fed to them, they will accept it. Imagine yourself on the ground that if you have been told all your life, let's make this analogous to racism perhaps. You have been told all your life that Bangladeshis are here to steal your work, and then suddenly that Bangladeshis are subhuman or whatever, and then suddenly there's this ultra-rich Bangladeshi construction company, but you know that, but people have said that they are super corrupt, that they have bought off the government to get their grants. Think about how detrimental that will be to you as a person, because you will think, well, what I've been told is true before that.
How the connotations that come along with being a woman in a patriarchal society will happen anyway under your circles. But how do you then empower that woman and the women around her when you selectively empower and champion women?
Okay, so it is. These narratives will happen under both sides. As you said, the difference is we are not endorsing these women actively. This means that society at large is not aiming this hate at the feminist movement. They are aiming at specific women that we can deal with. But you are aiming their hate towards the feminist movement that that we want. And then third, why is society's perception so harmful? Men don't, as I said before, do not actively seek out ways to do this. However, they do look for any sort of way that they can legitimize their discrimination. Think about employers who will choose men over women. However, now you're telling them, oh, you cannot do that. That's unfair to women. However, now they have a reason to think that, well, women are more prone to corruption. It is a tangible harm that people will find ways to legitimize their discrimination, and that is very harmful to society because now they think that they are right, and we can't say so otherwise because we are saying that the wrong is right, and to them that is unacceptable, and to us that is also unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In a world where women are placed in a social construct which they can never break free of, because every single day I am told that I'm useless, every single day I am told I am. The only way in which we challenge the social construct is by championing women who are successful, regardless of who they are as people. I'll do a few things in my speech. I'll respond to the arguments coming from that side of the house, and I'll tell you why helping we will help more women in the long run, and why this is far better comparative to begin with. But first, let's look at some of the responses they had to the Prime Minister in today's speech. Firstly, on the idea of justification, right? They really didn't respond to this, and this is really harmful to their case. Why? Because if they concede that by fear of succeeding in that bigoted patriarchal society is something to be championed, because what Daphne told you? Daphne told you that even if you're corrupt, the fact that you made it to a high-ranking position in that patriarchal society is something that should be championed in and of itself. They needed to tell you why that achievement in and of itself is something that we shouldn't champion. This is really important, and they needed to respond to this. But they also needed to respond to how we do not selectively champion women because it's a collective burden. But also, they needed to tell us why, considering that in a patriarchal society, there are so few successful women simply because of the social construct that men place them in, and them never getting the same salaries as their counterparts. Why is it then legitimate to not champion for women if it means betterment for the rest of the women in that area? But now to their positive matter in today's debate. If you think, right, number one, the counter narrative. So you wanted to argue that you perpetuate the stereotype of women being weak because men have a justification. Now, here's the problem. In patriarchal societies like Saudi Arabia, where women are not allowed to drive, regardless of whatever you do, men will always have a stereotype against you. There will always be a negative connotation towards you, regardless of what you do. That means even if I'm the most corrupt person, or whether or not I'm not corrupt at all, I will always be deemed weak, useless, and incapable of doing my job. So there is no reason why we buy this argument, because it's not mutually exclusive, right? It happens under both sides of the house. There is no difference. But the second thing we would say is that it's way better to stand in solidarity with these women by fear of them breaking out of that patriarchal structure. What's the comparative, right? Under that side of the house, you never had a counter narrative. At least under ours, you aggressively challenge the social construct of women. I think that because even if women are viewed in a worse light, at the very least they have a counter narrative to hinge themselves upon. At the point in which the feminist movement champions a woman that is successful. Because at the very least, we have a counter narrative in a society that doesn't have any at all. So, Mr. Speaker, at the end of the debate, remember one thing. This is the side of the house that supports Saudi Arabia, who commits honor killings every single day. This is the side of the house that supports rape every single day in Saudi Arabia, because they do not dare to challenge that social construct. We think that is a shame, sit down. Right? So even if women are people, they have a counter narrative in a society that doesn't have a counter narrative to begin with. That means no matter what you do, women will never have the ability to break out their social construct because there is no moderates or there is no counter narrative to change themselves upon. But next, right? They told you that the core principles are like of feminist movement improve women are weaker, women can. Here's the thing, we think all we are doing under outside the house is leveling the playing field. Why? Because we think individuals are disenfranchised from the very get-go. Why so? Because we think in patriarchal societies, it's evident that there are so few women that are successful because of this, right? So now that leads me to the third response, right? In terms of meritocracy. We think meritocracy in these places are practically non-existent. Why? Because the manner in which we judge women is based on a social construct that men dictate. Women always have to make calculated decisions, especially in conservative societies, that men never had to. A, whether I'm going to be raped if I walk down the street. B, whether my family is going to be ashamed of me and kill me under the guise of honor killing. These are the kinds of calculated decisions and problems that women have to go through every single day. What's the comparative? Right? At least we challenge that illegitimate form of meritocracy by champion women who are successful. Under that how they do nothing to stop their oppression, they do nothing to have a counter narrative. At the very least, we stand in solidarity with women, and that's the principle that we're willing to fight for. Because even in our worst case scenario where we regress all the progress, where we cause even more harm, at the very least we stand in solidarity with women who broke out of a patriarchal structure that victimizes them every single day. And we on the government team have never been prouder to stand for that principle. We think this is really, really important. They need to deal with it. But before I say sure.
So, are you debating in a world where the only successful women are corrupt? Or are you debating in a world where like there are successful women but not corrupt?
Here's the thing, right? We think in a conservative society, which is extremely patriarchal, more often than not, you don't have successful women to begin with. So considering that there are so few women who are successful, we think we have to champion these women. So we concede that maybe in some magical world of yours, women who did not have to be corrupt to be successful because of that limited social construct may succeed. But we think there are so few of those people that we have to be able to have like critical mass and like more individuals being championed in that conservative and patriarchal society. So even if there are women that are there who are not corrupt, sure, we'll champion with women as well, right? We think we still have more women. My first argument, how we have more women. It is really important. Right? Because in conservative society, women are oppressed. They're forced to believe that they're useless housewives, they deserve honor, killing. Because what do patriarchal societies do that, right? The social climate is one in which women are brainwashed every single day to believe that they're weaker and they can't drive and that they deserve honor, killing, and they deserve to be raped. Why? Because patriarchal societies create a social construct that women live in since birth. They're constantly told they're useless and they can't do job. The problem with this is ever since they were born, they have that instilled in their brain. That means they never know what happens. Right? That's allied society of women. We create a counter narrative, right? Because we show women on the ground that they are capable. Women, what happens now? They see that that woman on television is being championed and that woman is powerful. They themselves realize that women can do something and that they are capable of more than people see. Why is this so important? Because this is the best form of empowerment you can give a woman because she's able to feel strong. What does this mean? By fear of her being strong, that is an indictment on the patriarchal society that victimizes them. Because that woman has the ability to feel strong in a society that victimizes her to begin with. Because they do so many things, whether it's like social revolution to begin with, or like having a bigger representation of feminist women. But at the very least, Mrs. Speaker, that woman feels empowered. That woman knows that no matter what happens to me, I feel strong and I am more than what this man tells me I am. We think this is far more important than anything that side of the house can bring. Because at least on the outside, we make an effort to aggressively challenge the social construct and the illegitimate form of meritocracy that side of the house supports. I have genuinely never been prouder. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the effort taking your space. Okay.
In patriarchal societies, this house believes that the feminist movement should support successful women known to be corrupt. As the deputy leader of opposition, I oppose. Why? Because of a major substantive that the government's case is a very slippery slope to the idealization of these women feminists. And before I move on to my substantives, I would like to touch on some rebuttals. See, the deputy prime minister has come up here and gave you their whole case relies on the worst case scenario, the most extreme things of honor killings of rape. We are not saying that these do not exist, but I remind you, his worst case scenario, as he quoted, was Saudi Arabia. And we are telling you, yes, the feminist movement without the endorsement of corrupt politicians is already progressing. As we can see, by Saudi women already able to drive. We also see that in Pakistan, where honor killings happen, Malala is championing for women's education. Let me clarify, we are not against these efforts. We are merely saying that they do not require the work of corrupt politicians. And also clarify one more thing. The deputy prime minister came up here and told you as if it's mutually exclusive, as if only side government tells you that we can champion women's rights. No, we are telling you we can champion women's rights, but in other ways, just excluding corrupt politicians. He came and painted you this perverted picture that we support honor killings, that we support that we do not support rape. Their whole case stands upon us looking like some patriarchal bigots. We are not. We support feminism, but only through moral and just ways that portray women in the correct light that they should be, that they are equally and moral people, not the bigots, patriarchal people that they are going against. And they want you to think that women are also bigots and fight in the same game. That is what they can portray. So, okay. It's also government's burden to prove that we do not have to prove that this is better to you. But they have to come and prove to us that supporting corrupt women is better than not to do it. They have come up and told you and given you this perverted case that we are not doing efforts. I have proven to you that we are doing efforts, and you have to prove that why with this wouldn't be detrimental, and they have to prove how the tangible harm stated by my prime minister would not occur, which the deputy prime minister had never touched. Also, I would like to clarify in the case of the transgender woman who is personal beliefs are not linked to corruption. Homophobia is also not illegal like corruption. Please, Prime Minister, do not confuse the two. Homophobia is not illegal, but corruption is illegal. Okay. Also, now moving on to my substance, the slippery slope of government's case. My advice to the people is follow in the footsteps of successful civil rights movement. Okay, you talk about honor killings. The same thing was happening to black people in the 1960s. There were lynchings, there were killings, but Martin Luther King never stood up and supported the Black Panther movement. He stood up for moral rights. He stood up for his values, and that is why he's a hero. That is why we have Martin Luther King today. If this feminist movement supported this corrupt condition, we would not have feminists today. We would not have this because they failed their values. So we are telling you, follow in the way of Gandhi. The circumstances are quite similar. The circumstances are similar. I do not see why they cannot champion their rights as in status quo. Also, even if in their best case scenario they are garnering support and they somehow trespass all the tangible harm provided, the next time the feminists encounter opposition or problem, where is the benchmark for how low they will go? If you notice in the Deputy Prime Minister's speech, he never actually talked about corrupt. He always was successful, but he always forgot the corrupt part. He never stated corruption. Please sit down, both of you. So they've been trying to they've been trying to talk about championing. Yes, championing. They have forgotten that through championing, we also talk about how they got to power. We talk about Gandhi, we talk about how he did non-violence when Mandela, how he went to jail for 22 years. They've completely forgotten about it. They've completely forgotten that doing this, the tangible harms would be there. You remember how these women got to power, how they through corruption got to power, and somehow the deputy prime minister government giving this false hope that all of these is gone.
Regardless of whether or not feminists champion corrupt politicians, more often than not, men still stereotype women anyway. The Taliban still exists under your side of the house where they don't want women to get education. What progress are you talking about?
I already said how the progress is being made. And actually, government stance is making it worse. Okay, we are not aggravating the situation by supporting these corrupt politicians and how the patriarchal media in Pakistan, as you see, the Taliban and all, they actually focus on this as the Prime Minister said. and actually aggravate the situation. So I don't see how it's better on your side of the face. Please tell me that. Also, now moving on. And so, as I said, the next time the families encounters opposition or problems, where's the benchmark for how low will they go? Will they go to further illegal activities? Will they, God knows what to do? Will they go and murder men? Will they go and do group killings? I don't know what they will do. They have not drawn the line to where they will stop with crossing the moral boundary. Now moving on to my second subject is the idolization of these women feminists. The Deputy Prime Minister came up here and said the word championing God knows how many times. He's been repeating the word championing and success. Here. Similarly, we are saying these feminist people will become idols. Malala is an idol nowadays. And Emma Watson is an idol nowadays. Sorry, I forget the names. And so we remember these people, and we don't just remember these people for themselves. We remember that Malala got shot. As I said earlier, we remember how Malala got shot. But if these people are corrupt and successful, even if they're successful, you will still remember that they were corrupt, that they never had integrity, that they never had morals to follow by, and they didn't care. And in fact, they're actively harming, as my whip POI. What about the other women who are going through the correct way, who do not cheat? What about these women? These corrupt politicians are in fact infringing and actually removing the chance, removing the opportunity that these clean, uncorrupt women deserve to become powerful. So in any way, these are actually antagonists to the feminist movement, my friends. Also, if the feminists garner popularity and support, as I said, they will get, then these people at the top will be the epitome of success. Then small girls would aspire, as they say, champion, and aspire to become like these corrupt politicians, and aspire to become like Dilma Rousseff. And then that would mean that these girls would see fit for them to be corrupt in government, corrupt in power, just to achieve whatever they want. Are they setting a good example for young girls? Please, your whip has to come and clarify how is setting a good example for young girls to grow up and aspire to be in a society. Also, even if they fail by all other means to support, they should principally stick to their values, because this idolization and its negative influence on the future of women will bring so much more harm than any possible benefits our government can bring to you. For that reason, I am very proud to oppose it. Thank you. Thank you.
I am a woman. If I am a woman who has to go through corruption in order to get a job, just because I'm in a society in which men are dominating, in which men will never ever recognize my capabilities, no matter what. And the only way for me to actually put food on the table for my child, because I'm a single mother, because I need to support my family, is through corruption. We need to support this women no matter what. We tell you that these are the women, especially these are the women that we need to focus on the most. Because we tell you that they are the ones who went through discrimination the most, had to go through corruption in which they did not want to concede in the first place, but had to resort to it the last resort just because they were discriminated. We argue to you that these are the things that they had to do in order to get that job, and we will champion them for that. We will say that their choice is legitimate, and we will say that because of that, they are strong women. This debate is not whether or not we want these women to be corrupted, but this debate is what we're going to do when these women are already corrupted. We would say that all of governance, all of Ops case was contingent upon whether or not women are corrupted. But we will tell you that in this case, women are already corrupted. So everything that we wanted to talk about already exists. So the narrative already exists. These media that tells people that women are horrible already exists. The question then becomes, what do we then do about this? Because we tell you that when women are already corrupted, and when all of these narratives already exist, the only way in which we're able to bring a counter narrative is we actually support, is when we support these women. But before I go on to my issue, I'll tell you what the things that they did not respond to. Because we already told you that no matter what these women do, we need to stand in solidarity with these women, because these women are the ones who are discriminated at the end of the day. But why is it so detrimental to their side that they did not respond to this? Because if they actually agree that we need to stand for women no matter what, then they also agree that we need to, like, even if these women are corrupted, we need to stand for them as well, especially when they're in certain places in which they're discriminated the most. But onto my issue on whether or not we can empower women, empower these women at the end of the day. They told us that men control the media. Hence, when you are corrupted, you legitimize the discrimination that they have, and that women will be deemed as corrupted, right? So we tell you that these narratives exist once the point in which these women actually are corrupted. We will tell you that these are the stigmas that already exist, and the only way we can counter this is when we tell people that the only reason why they are corrupted in this society, corrupted today, is due to the fact that they are constantly being discriminated. Once the feminist movement highlights these people and support these women and tell people that the only reason why they had to be corrupted was due to the fact that they were discriminated themselves. It's because meritocracy did not exist on your side, because meritocracy was flawed. We say that the only way in which we can wake people up and tell people that your country is being corrupted, your country is being very biased and very sexist, is when we point out that women has to be corrupted in order for them to get a job, not because they're incapable, but because the society is sexist. We argue to you that the only way we are able to bring the counter narrative and are able to tell people that your country and your meritocracy is flawed is when we point that out, that these women are the only reason why they're corrupted is because your society is discriminatory. Before God struggling.
Are you condoning corruption as a way of garnering income or a way to be successful in life?
No, we say that the only reason why these women need to be corrupted in the first place is because they have no chance whatsoever. It's not because they're capable. We deem them as women who are capable and can do their job perfectly. The problem is, let's look at the comparative, right? If you're a woman and you have a PhD, there's 5 women in this interview when you want to get a job and you have a PhD, compared to the 100 men who has the same PhD as you. We argue that in these societies in which they are sexist, they are more likely to choose the men instead of the women. Just because of their sexuality. Just because of their gender. We argue that this is something that is important and something that needs to be pointed out, which only side government will be doing in this case. Sit down. We argue to you that they wanted to talk to you a lot about counter narratives, right? And how you worsen the situation. Sure, even if in these situations we worsen the situation with us, right? When they are, even in the worst case scenario, men are more discriminatory to them. At least we are the side who actually empowers them. Because your side is never able to empower them no matter what. Because you yourself already agree that when they themselves are corrupted and they have men deem them as corrupted, is something that the society cannot change. And hence they will keep propagating that women are corrupted. In these cases, what are we then going to do? Are we going to stand by and be complicit in these acts, or are we going to take action and actually support these women? Because we argue that the only way in which we're able to support these women and actually have a stand for these women is when we stand for them no matter what they do. Because we say that what you do, no matter whether it's corrupted or not, is because of the situation. We understand you will stand for it. Let's analyze these mentalities of these women. When you yourself have to go through this corruption and have to be corrupted, and we will help them no matter what. We say the comparative is this. The comparative on the other side is that when men are already dominant in the society and already stigmatize women for being corrupted because certain women are corrupted, they do not provide a platform for these women to feel empowered, to feel that somebody is there for me. Because rather on our side, even in the worst case scenario, where situations get worse, when men has even more of a reason to discriminate these women, we will stand for these women. We will be there for them. We will tell you that no matter what, the feminist movement will always back you up no matter what we do. With that, we propose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are substantive portion of the debate about opposition.
Let us agree on something. The goal for both sides is to help the feminist movement, right? We all want a world where women and men are treated equally. We all want a world where it's meritocratic, where people are judged based on their content of character rather than their gender. So the question becomes, which is the best way to achieve these aims, or at least not make the situation worse than it already is? So the Gulf spent a lot of time analyzing why things are horrible in patriarchal societies, like citing honor killings, having honor killings to like having lower wages and whatnot, right? Okay, fine, these things exist, they're true, and we're all trying to change them, right? But it's also true that with the liberalization of a lot of societies, these feminist movements are gaining ground, right? So what we are doing, like if we can prove to you that these counter-narratives inhibits these progress, then we win the case. And the counter-narratives coming from our side is something that they have yet to respond to. Right. I would like to talk about three issues. Rebuttals will be integrated. Number one, under which side will the feminist movement be better off? Number two, even if the feminist movement should succeed under their side, why it is still harmful? And number three, the issue of moral ascendancy. That is why it's not principally just for them to do that no matter what the outcome is. Number one, under which side will the feminist movement be more successful? Right, it's not our burden to prove that we will have active policies that help the feminist movement, right? We just have to prove to you that under your side it's going to be worse, or that's all our burden is. So let me tell you why, and this has been repeated in my first and two speakers. I'm just going to give it a bit further, right? So, number one, it takes the spotlight away from women who gain the success through illegitimate means. So, hear me out. So, in patriarchal societies, these media are controlled by men, right? The levers of power is only accessible to men, as they said. So, when feminists take to the streets, for example, the only portrayal in the media of these men, they would magnify the corrupt opposite of the success part. And we think this is very harmful for a few reasons. The stigmas that you stated on your side will all be made worse. And also, the little girl you talked about who was told like she was useless, that she couldn't be successful, you know what happens to her now? She's told, and with proof from the media, right, that the best of your gender is a corrupt woman. So how good can you be? Sit down. Alright, another thing they talk about is that they say we would rather have a feminist movement with counter-narratives than without any counter-narratives. At least you have counter-narratives, right? So there are a few problems with this logic. Because if you can prove that the counter-narratives that come up are negative, then it harms your side more than our side. Go.
Considering that women's stereotypes exist anyway, isn't it way better for that woman to be able to feel strong with the person that she is?
I just told you that women will not feel strong because men will not tell them the best of you are. Alright, that's it. And also, These counter-narratives only strengthens the stereotypes, right? It makes the aggravates all the harms on their side. And we just proved to you why these counter-narratives are harmful, right? My peers spent his entire speech telling you why under our side, like counter-narratives that come up would be like, women need to be corrupt to get into power. Like women can't be trusted with responsibility because those who are power right now that you see are corrupt. And these things are very harmful because it stops these women. It like legitimizes employers to shut the other women out of positions of power, right? Moving on. The success of the feminist movement, this is a very important fact here. Sit down. Success of the feminist movement doesn't just require the women to feel the power, to feel like they're stronger, right? In a patriarchal society, it also requires that the men in power, who controls all the structures, realize that women should be treated equally. You have to let the man know as well. It doesn't matter if you have power when the men are still in control, right? So what this does, it gives them excuses. Sit down. It gives these men excuses to say like, hey, women are as bad as we made them up to be, even if they don't actually believe it, right? Because they have the incentive to keep in patriarchal societies to keep these women low. So that it legitimizes their discriminatory rhetorics. So we say this is very, very harmful to their side. Number two, even if the feminist movements succeed because of this, what happens then? These women who are corrupt become heroes, become martyrs. Look at Gandhi, look at Martin Luther King. Like because of their movements, they speak Gandhi fought for independence in India, Martin Luther King's civil rights movement succeeded, right? They are looked on upon as saints. History remembers them like really well, right? So like what happens when you succeed because of like endorsing corrupt women, right? So girls will look up to these people as heroes, as idols. They will idolize them, and we think this is morally. Sit down. So my third issue is about moral ascendancy, about moral high ground that we take, that they never ever engage with. So they say, sit down. They say that we should champion successful women regardless of what they do. The principle here is that we should champion the resistance, movement of resistance, right? We should champion successful women regardless of who they are, regardless of their characters. Like by that logic, as a civil rights person in the civil rights movement, I would champion the Black Panthers. I would champion a person as long as they're successful, no matter what they did to get into power. So they also talk about why corrupt women, women who came to power with illegitimate means, right, did so under dire circumstances. We say we don't care, and here's why. Corruption always harms someone. When a certain holder of the public office takes away 2.6 million, it harms the people, right? 2.6 billion, sorry. It harms the people. So like in this world, like what happens? In a patriarchal society, this is who these corrupt women become other women. Because there is only like finite slots for successful women, right? Because it's really hard to gain success in the patriarchal society. So what happens is that these women, they cheated the system in order to be successful. They pushed these other women out of the positions of power, out of the success, and then they gain that success through illegitimate means. And we think this is something that's morally reprehensible and we should not support it. For all the reasons that I stated, I'm very, very proud of this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Griff. To open your class, we just want
Let me now polish our story. Let me now tell you why, even in the Deputy Prime Minister's perverted version of what happens in patriarchal societies, we still do not aggravate the condition of the feminist movement. Let's see now, what are the main clashes here? Some were still unaddressed by the side saying tangible harms. Under which side, as Marie Foucault says, under which side is the feminist movement less aggravated and more moral ascendancy. These are the three main clashes that has happened. You see, when it came to tangible harms, my prime minister's whole 7-minute speech was dedicated to that, and I only have 4 minutes, so never mind. You know what he talked about? He talked about how this patriarchal media will manipulate this, how people will manipulate all these corrupt politicians, and they have not told you, they have not analyzed it, neither have they proved how these tangible harms will not happen. They have merely dodged the bullet. But I am telling you, these tangible harms are very real. These are very probable tangible harms that will only aggravate the situation and damage their case, damage the feminist movement. And so his theory speech on the feminist movement will actually be undone, will actually be aggravated by his own measures. Also, as I have said, under which side is the feminist movement less aggravated? Okay, let's forget the manipulation by the patriarchy. Let's talk about the future. Feminists want the next generation to be good women, not corrupt politicians, not corrupt women who become like, I know for a name a few Malaysian politicians who just sum up money and bend under the feet of men. I would rather have a woman who died for her morals, who died standing up for feminism whilst maintaining her integrity. Moral, and also, under their side, they have not proved how any of these tangible harms would occur. So actually, they have actually claimed that they will be aggravated. They found no way to claim how they won't be aggravated. So in a way, they implied that these harms exist. Also, now with moral ascendancy, talking about moral ascendancy, my whip has come up and told you about principles. Feminist movement talks about one principle, a moral principle that we are all equal. So by the way, they are also propagating equality, morals, and good principles among men. So with that same breath, they also tell you it's okay. No matter who, if you're underprivileged, you can cheat. If you're underprivileged, you can steal. They have not only where to draw the line. So if you're underprivileged, you can steal. If you're underprivileged, you can murder. If you're underprivileged, you can do whatever you want as long as it brings you success. I find this a very slippery slope, and this might even bring you to anarchy, please, but it's a very slippery slope. Also, in our worst case scenario, women's rights don't progress, although they already are doing as status quo is right now. But let's just assume women's rights don't progress. Let's assume that women do not move, their rights don't move, and all those things that we are saying currently happens. But women still maintain their sanctity. Their role models maintain their integrity and are remembered as martyrs who had integrity and didn't fall to the system. In fact, corrupt politicians are the women who fall to the system. They could not stand on their own feet and they fell to the men. So I would find a woman who stood her ideals as a stronger woman. And now in their best case, and that is our worst case scenario, in their best case scenario, you have corrupt women. You have corrupt women who idolize the young girls. And then the future generation, even if, okay, let's just say, even if they get women's rights, and even if they get whatever they wanted, these women are remembered as women who fail to maintain their morals and who fail to be whatever they aspire to be. So that is why we are very proud to oppose.
Because today, for the
women are constantly victimized and oppressed in societies that are patriarchal. We think that women should have the ability to break free from that social construct through our form of empowerment. Before I move on to issues with race, we've been thought out problems with that side of the house. First, a large part of the case was contingent upon organic change happening. We already responded to that by telling you two things. A, the organic change that we talked about barely happens, right? Because the Taliban is still at news. There are still so many problems that we're going to have to suffer, like honestly. But we also told you, even if organic change is happening, it's happening at such a small scale that it's something to accept. But second problem, right? They told you that women will never be empowered because men will forever tell them they are weak and the best of them is corrupt. I already told you in my speech and Faith told you, right? That individuals on the ground should not let men dictate how they feel about themselves. And the only way in which we tell them that is when they can see that someone of their own is up there in that high-ranking position, even though the patriarchy victimized them from the very moment they were born. This is the only way in which we achieve what we do. But lastly, the second, they told you it's unfair because you cheated the system. We tell you that the system we talk about is so bigoted that it's extremely flawed. How on earth are we willing to give up to that system? Telling me we cheated the system is something that we on Thai government are happy to fight for, because that system is one in which that never prioritizes women and always leaves them in the dust. We don't think it's fair. But the crux of their case is based on aggravating this conservative society. What's the problem we have with that? Right? Because coming from Daphne's speech already, we told you that aggravation means, like the problem with aggravation means I have to bow down to your oppressive regime and in very least fight that evil. And that itself is the we don't think it's fair and we don't think it's legitimate to bow down to that oppressive regime. Last, in terms of moral ascendancy, I really didn't understand what they were talking about, because the morality that they were fighting for was morality in a state that rapes women. It's morality in a state that kills women. We don't think that morality is something that's sound. We don't think that's something we should fight for, right? But first issue, who helps women? Because in order to understand this, right, you need to understand the patriarchal social climate in those areas. Men will never rationally understand why women are good because they are told that women are weak since they were born, right? Because under that side of the house, the only reason why they say women would be worse off as they go is because we perpetuate this theory. We told you that was patriarchal society will forever find a reason to why women are weak and why women are incapable and evil beings that do not deserve to exist. So regardless of the outcome of this debate, individuals will still victimize women and have negative connotation towards them. At the very least, on the outside, women, we stand in solidarity with women, and these women can truly feel strong, right? Because the question that becomes what happens. Even if they fail, and if individuals and at the very least, we allow women to feel good. But secondly, is it legitimate? They told you it isn't because it's corrupt. I already told you that system was flawed. We told you that it's a last resort to begin with. The patriarchal society is one in which that forces women into a corner where the only way to survive and put food on their children's table is that they have last resort and not something that is usually. It's not because they're capable, it's because of the society that they live in and the social construct that they are forced to live in. We think it's a shame that we have been in social construct, and we think it's a shame how we'll never change what women are going through. For all these reasons, I am never
Thanks for the hands, lots of breaks.